Thanks for joining us. You're watching Arirang Newsbreak on this Tuesday, July 26th. I'm Han-daeun in Seoul. It's day 3 of the ASEAN Regional Forum that's taking place in Laos. So far, South Korea's Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se has worked the diplomatic levers to keep relations with China steady while reaffirming ties with the U.S. And today, we're likely to get a clearer picture of the current political landscape in the region, especially in Northeast Asia, at the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting. Our Kwon So-ah is there.
While South Korea's Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se and his North Korean counterpart had a short encounter during which they reportedly said they were glad to see each other, it was a different story for North Korea and China. Pyongyang and Beijing's foreign ministers held their first bilateral talks in 2 years on the sidelines of the ASEAN Regional Forum, the only security forum that the North Korean delegation regularly attends. The beginning of their meeting was open to the media in what's being seen as a rare gesture. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi congratulated his North Korean counterpart Lee Yong-ho for taking the foreign minister post. According to a North Korea official, the meeting took place as part of normalizing communication between the longtime allies. Pundits say South Korea-China relations could go downhill, while North Korea-China relations move up. China has been adamantly opposed to the deployment of the missile defense system THAAD to South Korea, a stance shared by North Korea and Russia as well. Meanwhile, Minister Yoon reaffirmed his ties with the U.S., especially when it comes to North Korea issues.
So I believe this is the right time for us to send out a very clear and strong message to North Korea that our alliance is stronger, deeper, and broader than ever.
I'm very grateful to our friends in Korea for their very significant contribution to so many different global issues at this point.
Seoul's chief diplomat Yoon and his Japanese counterpart Fumio Kishida agreed that South Korea-Japan relations have improved in recent days since the landmark deal on Japan's wartime sexual slavery issue last December. With these developments, there are concerns that a South Korea-US-Japan versus North Korea-China-Russia diplomatic structure is forming. Kwon So-ah, Arirang News, VNTN.
In the U.S., Hillary Clinton drew a sharp line between her foreign policies and those of her main rival in an address to veterans in North Carolina as her party's nominating convention got underway in Pennsylvania. Speaking to the Veterans of Foreign Wars Convention in Charlotte on Monday, Clinton said she would actively seek advice from military leaders and that people would never hear her say that she only listens to herself on national security. Although she never mentioned him by name, it was a clear reference to an interview by Republican nominee Donald Trump this spring when he said that his primary consultant on foreign policy is himself. The former Secretary of State is scheduled to be officially anointed as the Democratic nominee on Tuesday, and she will deliver an acceptance speech on Thursday, the final day of the convention. A gruesome knife attack in Japan has left dozens of people dead or seriously injured. Japan's NHK says a young man brandishing a knife broke into a facility for the disabled in Sagamihara, Kanagawa Prefecture, just outside of Tokyo on Tuesday at around 2:30 a.m. At least 19 people are feared dead and at least 45 have been injured, 20 of whom are in critical condition. The attacker, a 26-year-old former employee at the facility, later turned himself in to the police. Japanese media reports say that during the incident, the man screamed that he wanted to rid the world of the disabled. The police are investigating possible motives for the crime. Growth in the Korean economy got a slight bump in the second quarter, but that hasn't cleared lingering concerns as the growth rate has been stuck in the 0% range for a third straight quarter. The Bank of Korea says the country's GDP expanded 0.7% in the April to June period from the previous quarter. That's a pickup from the 0.5% growth in the first quarter. The growth was mainly led by construction investment and facility investment, both rising 2.9%. Private consumption and exports also turned to positive growth in the second quarter. During the same period, the gross domestic income fell 0.4%. The Syrian asylum seeker who blew himself up outside a bar in the German town of Ansbach is now known to have pledged allegiance to the leader of the Islamic State. The incident is the latest in a series of attacks to hit the country in about a week's time, fueling growing anxiety about the specter of terrorism and the country's immigration policies. Kim Mo-kyun has more.
Bavarian Interior Minister Joachim Herrmann said on Monday that security officials found a video on the attacker's mobile phone that captured his pledge of allegiance to the leader of the Islamic State militant group. It also showed the 27-year-old threatening a revenge attack on Germans.
On the mobile phone, there is a corresponding video of the perpetrator issuing an attack threat in Arabic. According to this, he expressly announces, in the name of Allah, and testifying his allegiance to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, a famous Islamist leader, an act of revenge against the Germans because they are standing in the way of Islam, and as retribution for the killing of Muslims.
Other Islamic video contents were also discovered on storage devices at the 27-year-old attacker's home, along with various materials that could be used to make a bomb. The minister said that an investigation into the content of the videos is still ongoing, but based on the evidence so far, the attack is likely an act of terror inspired by extremist Islamic beliefs. The so-called Islamic State group has claimed responsibility for the attack through its Amaq news agency, but confirmation of the link is pending. Germany is reeling from 4 deadly attacks that have hit the country since July 18th, leaving 10 people dead and more than 30 wounded. Most recently on Sunday, a Syrian refugee set off a bomb near a music festival in the southern town of Ansbach, killing himself and injuring a dozen others. Earlier on the same day, another Syrian refugee attacked several people in southwestern Germany, killing 1 person and injuring 2 others. Police presence had been beefed up in light of recent events, particularly in public areas like airports and train stations. The string of attacks has fueled growing public concern about the country's already controversial open-door refugee policy. More than 1 million migrants have entered Germany over the past year, many fleeing from war in Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq. Kim Mo-kyun, Arirang News.
That's all for now. Keep it tuned to Arirang for more domestic and global headlines throughout the day. Thank you for watching.